Hey friends, welcome back to Ubatooba, your supplier of good feels. We are all about the mindset, feels and fitness, and today's video is a stretch series, a delicious stretch series for you. We are focusing on doing some twisting and lengthening down our spine, and the reason I wanted to do this is because when you do gentle spine twists, it is a great way to re-energize the body. That stretching and lengthening through the spine creates some extra space for fresh energy to flow through. It makes you feel energized, it makes you feel alive, and it makes you feel good. And that is what we are about, the good feels. So we are going to get started down on the mat in a nice child's pose. So coming on down, you just want to take your knees wide and bring your big toes to touch. When you do that, you just send your bum gently, gently back and down, and then creep your hands forward. And this is what we call extended child's pose. So you can rest your forehead on the ground if it meets there, or you can even place a block underneath you. And when you get there, I want you to start lengthening down through your spine and bring your tailbone a little bit more towards your feet. As you do this, you might feel like you want to creep your hands forward, and you can really create some nice length through the side body. When you found your place, maybe you want to make this a little bit more active by pressing the hands into the mat and lifting your elbows up and off the mat. And then take a really nice big breath in. So inhaling in through the nose. And as you exhale out through the mouth, keep your hands gripping into that mat. See if you can lengthen further. Bring your bum closer to your heels and really extend through that back. Starting to get the good feels flowing through already. Let's creep our hands over towards the left side of our mat. And as we get there, maybe your right hand comes on top of the left. And you can feel the lengthening right down through the side body. Again, we want to feel like you're reaching for the top left corner with your hand, but maybe pulling that hip bone down towards the back right corner. Let's walk the hands into the middle and going across to the other side. So that same lengthening action, a bit of a push-pull. We're pulling towards the top of the mat at the same time, pushing our hips down towards the opposite corner. Lengthening breath in and a big breath out. Really nice. So let's walk our hands back into the center of the mat and we'll come into a 4-point kneel. So bringing those hands directly underneath your shoulders, and we'll come into a cat-cow position. So let's tip the belly down and almost like you're rolling the shoulder blades down the back and creating a beautiful broad collarbone through the front of the chest. You can choose to look forward, or maybe you want to tilt your head up a little more. Just be careful not to crunch too much through the back of the neck. Take a big inhale breath, make the chest a little prouder. And exhale, we'll move into our cat position. So articulating through the spine, press away through the mat, and then just bring your gaze to the in between your legs, maybe even in between, or maybe even to your belly button. And it's sort of the opposite of what we were doing in the cat position. You really want to press all 4 corners of your hands into the mat. And we'll move back into that cow position. So dropping the belly down towards the mat. Again, broaden through those collarbones, shine your chest and heart forward, and maybe feel like you're trying to squeeze your knees and hands together. When you get that action, it kind of makes you feel like you can open up the chest a little more. 2 more rounds. Pressing away from the mat, cat position. And moving, rolling into cow. 1 more. Inhale, we come up, and exhale, we come down. Come to a neutral spine here, and I want you to really hug the hands in so that your elbow creases face forward. Let's twist a little bit through the spine here. So I want you to take your gaze over your left shoulder and then sink your hips over to the right. A little bit of lateral bending. You might be able to see your feet. Getting a little stretch down through the outer right hip. Come through center, other side. So hips come towards the left side and your gaze turns over your right shoulder. This can also feel really nice to lengthen down the neck. Moving to breath, inhale through center and then exhale as your hips tip over the other side. Back through center and other side. Then coming all the way back to center. Cross your feet behind you and let's roll over onto our bottoms. And I'm just going to turn to face you. This time, I want you to bring your arms all the way up overhead. Nice big inhale breath. And on your exhale, let's turn over towards the right side. So left hand comes to right knee. And we're coming through that nice spinal twist. This is where we can really create that space in between each vertebrae. And your right hand might be behind you just for a little bit of extra support. Inhale here, grow tall. Exhale. This is where you get a light, gentle compression on some of your internal organs as well. So that can then, when we release this little twist, can just create some nice, fresh, oxygenated blood to those organs, flush out any cells that are a little bit gunky. Inhale, come to center. Reach the hands up, nice big cleansing breath, inhale. Exhale, let's turn towards the other side. So right hand comes onto left knee, and maybe that left hand comes behind us, really twisting and rinsing out through the spine. Being gentle with your body, we never want to go too far, always listening to what our body needs, and also releasing any kind of judgment of what we think it should look like or feel like, because it will feel different from day to day. And we just need to be present and accept where we are. It's exactly where we need to be. Let's take an inhale breath. Growing tall, grounding those sit bones into the ground, and then exhale, maybe you can move a little more. Coming all the way back into center. Bring your knees out in front of you. This is such a strange sort of exercise to do, but I would really recommend doing this particular stretch while you're watching TV in an ad break. So what this does is we're gonna start mobilizing through the hips, and it's really, really good for people that sit at a desk job all day. That's me, only for the next 3 weeks, but this is something that I've been really working on because one, it's a little bit of coordination, but two, I really wanna keep my hip health in check. So what we're gonna do is take your right foot and just swing that back around. So it's like a little bit of a 90-degree, well, it's not quite 90 degrees, it's a bit of a 45-degree angle. But you're just swinging that leg behind you. And then with your left leg, just bring that across in front of you. And you already might be starting to feel like an opening through your inner thigh here. Shift and shuffle. Try and anchor down both sit bones as much as you can. And then just sitting nice and tall. Now, just having a little move and a little wiggle around through here, noticing how that feels. And we almost want to get comfortable sitting in these particular positions because they're so good for our hip health. So having just a little move around, noticing how it feels, and you can hang out here for 20 or 30 seconds. Again, just being really careful with your knees. You know you better than I do. So just be careful and take care when we're doing this. We don't want to push the knee into any sort of really uncomfortable direction, but this is a really good starting position even if you just sit here for 30 seconds and then swap sides. Doing that a couple of times a day is really going to improve your hip mobility. We're going to swing our legs around to the other side. So because our hip is a ball and socket joint, this is good, really nice lubrication, and it's also a little bit of core strength, a little bit of coordination. So you're going to come all the way up and change sides all the way to the other side. Don't be afraid to use your hands, it does get easier. And then we're just gonna sit and twist and have a little wriggle. I'm feeling a little bit tighter in this side than my other side, and certainly tighter than I was the other day. But if some of you have done my stretch series before, I always have tight hips, even though I do tons of yoga. So even taking a nice little gentle twist through the spine, and just noticing if this feels really junky for you or not. If it's feeling really junky, just start really gently by each ad break, or even once a show or once a day, getting down low to the floor, okay? Get low, get low. I don't know what song that is, but if I can put it in here, I certainly will. Let's change sides again. See if you can do it without using your hands. And changing over. I read that this is one of an exercise that some people do when they're training for like jiu-jitsu. It's like a bit of a Russian thing. And just working in, noticing how it feels. And then potentially crossing over, other side. Maybe you don't use your hands, maybe you do. Feeling good. Nice work. Beautiful. Coming all the way up. This time, just scoot your bum back a little bit and spread your legs nice and wide. We'll come into a nice little splits pose. Moving out those fleshy parts of your bottom from underneath you, sitting up nice and tall. Just want you to start creeping your hands forward. And I haven't done this one today, and I trained legs this morning. So while this feels really, really good, it's something I definitely should do, I feel a little bit stiff and stuck, but that's okay. I'm going to connect to my breath and just use that to open things up a little bit. I always love, love, love connecting to breath when I'm stretching, because I always find it means I can release a little bit of tension and get into something a little bit further without having to go too far, because I'm listening to my body. But it's a super nice way to release tension, anything that you're holding on to. I'm gonna relax down through my head. And as you sort of sit into this posture, again, really good for your hips. You might find that your forearms meet the ground, but focusing on trying to hinge from the hip. It's not so much about like getting super close and being all hunched down to the ground. It's more about being long through the spine and just creating that hinge from the hip there. My hamstrings are starting to loosen up a little bit here, which feels nice. And again, you don't have to do this watching me. Once you've got these exercises, you can put them in a little rotation and do them on your lunch break. As I said, it's a really great way to energize. So if you're trying to avoid that 3 p.m. slump, change up what you're doing for your lunch break. So you could put your lunch in the microwave or the oven, whatever you're having for lunch that day, have a quick like 10 to 15 minute break, 10 to 15 minute stretch, and eat your lunch, and then consciously know you've made a self-empowering decision that day. So when you go to reach for like that sweet treat that you might not really need, or the extra cup of coffee, be like, is that really self-empowering? Does it really match what I did at lunchtime? Maybe, maybe not. So it's just a good way to keep things in check, and it means you can tick off a self-empowering act off your list if you like to make lists in the morning. I have a bit of a daily goal setting routine where I like to put down what I'm going to do that day or what I would like to achieve, and it just makes me feel really good when I have 1 or 2 self-empowering choices or apps on there and I get to visually check it off. I hope I've distracted you enough from the fact that we've been sitting here for like 30 seconds or more. Just gently, gently press your hands into the ground and walk back up to a nice tall position. Resist the urge to lift or adjust your legs. By all means, if you need to create a little bend in your knees because that's where you're at today, please feel free to move like you. I always invite you to do that. So sitting up nice and tall, core is switched on. We are going to anchor down through our right side here. Extend that right arm up into the air, and we're going to stretch out our side body and also our lower back. So this one, if you guys sit at desks all day, do this one on the daily, but it stretches out our lower back muscle here. And that's one that can get particularly stiff if you're sitting in a chair all day. So reaching that arm up and over, I have my left arm here, just gently pressing into my upper thigh, not on my knee, my upper thigh. And again, move like you. If this is not what you look like, totally okay, as long as you're anchored down through that left hip and you're reaching over and getting that beautiful stretch in your side body, you're doing good. We're gonna breathe into it, and I'm gonna stop crunching through my chest. Twist and open that a little bit more. Inhale, and exhale, letting something go. It's feeling pretty delicious. And then we're gonna come all the way back up to center. We're gonna change sides. So extending that left arm up into the air, really feeling anchored down in my left side. I'm gonna reach up, and then reach all the way over. I'd love to know the difference of this from side to side. I'm gonna check that when we stop. Again, I just have my elbow gently pressing into my thigh, and that's just a beautiful reminder just to twist my chest open a little bit here. Not to crane my neck too much, but just so I'm not collapsing into it, okay? Because I really want to get the most out of lengthening through the side. Big breath in. Big reach over. That feels so nice. Coming all the way back up. So good. Now just gently lift your knees up and just bring them into your chest here. Just give yourself a nice little hug. We're going to make our way over into a 4-point kneel. And from there, just stepping that left foot forward and coming into a nice sort of traditional Anjali asana. So normally I would tell you to squeeze your glutes and then we're gonna stretch, and that would give us a nice stretch to the hip flexor. This time I want you to relax off a little bit and just come forward. You'll still get a nice stretch down the front of the quad. And we're doing it this way for a reason. So bring your hands into your heart center, into a nice prayer position, and then pull that belly button in and away from your spine. Let's hinge at the hip. Try and keep that belly away from the leg here. And then we're going to twist over towards that left side, and maybe your right elbow comes onto your left knee. If you can hook that on, you can sort of press knee into elbow. I'm never good at lefts and rights. And then inhale, think long through the spine. This is another beautiful compression for those internal organs, but just lightly restricting the blood flow there. And then when we release off, we'll get a beautiful sensation of nice fresh blood. Feel free to stay here or tuck your back toe, and you can power up through that back leg. And we're in a nice crescent lunge. So this is stretching and toning, but it's just a beautiful energizing stretch. It's a whole body sort of feeling. I look really excited doing this. I just realized I can see my face in the camera. Keep powering up through that back leg. Inhale, think long from the crown of your head all the way to your heel. Inhale. And exhale, lower that knee back down. Frame that front foot, and then just gently send your hips back. We'll just go for a little hamstring stretch. Just feeling that blood sort of move around through that front leg, through the middle body. And then walking back forward, frame that front foot. Let's step that left foot back, and we'll step that right foot forward. Now more of a classical Anjali asana, so sort of relax off through the glutes and pushing those hips forward and down. Feeling the goods. Take a nice big breath in. We'll bring our hands into prayer position. Think long, grow tall, and then let's hinge forward at the hips. When you're ready, inhale breath, we prepare. And exhale, twist over to that right side. Maybe your knee and elbow make a little connection, and you might use it for leverage, but again, just working in with what feels good for you. If you did so on the other side, you can tuck that back toe, completely optional, and lift that back knee up off the ground. We're engaging that quad and really feeling some strength in the leg. Inhale, think long. Maybe you open up through the chest just a little bit, and then exhale. Working into whatever is coming up. This side feels completely different for me. Let me know in the comments if it does for you as well. Big breath in, one more round. Big breath out, lower that back knee down, untuck the toes. Frame that front foot, release off the pressure. Again, no expectations. We're not really stretching through the hamstring. This is more just a bit of a counter pose for the twist. Inhale, lengthen, oh so nice, and exhale. Let's come back down to a seat here. Nice little easy pose. And then when you're ready, let's just work into that side to side hip stuff. So this is the one I really want you to focus on this week, just to get our hips nice and mobile. So let's make our little right angles with front and back knee. Again, just working into your hips, seeing how that feels. And then challenge yourself, lift your legs up and swing them around to the other side. Oh, I got some work to do on that one. Good work. Again, if that doesn't feel totally great for you, always listen to your body. You can just windscreen wiper the legs from side to side. But your task for this week, if you are joining into these weekly stretch series, is get low. Sit on the floor as much as you can in your easy pose. One leg to the side, one leg up, maybe even just opening up through those inner thighs, and just notice the difference of what it's like to be mobile through the hips. Quite often, if you are tight and not mobile through the hips, you might end up with a stiff and sore lower back. So it's well worth doing, my friends, because what does it do? It brings on the good feels. So I hope you enjoyed this little energizing stretch series. We've got a few twists in there. We've got a little bit of hip mobility. I hope you are doing this on your lunch break and you are feeling the goods. Let me know how you go, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. We got Yoga Tuesday, Stretch Series Thursday, and I'm gonna chuck a Pilates full body burner on for you on Saturday. So check those videos out, guys, and I look forward to seeing you very, very soon. Big love.